Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Town of Pittsburgh Planning Board regular meeting for Monday, September 15th, 2025. Looking around and we do have a quorum. Miss Charity Doughton is absent tonight to note that, but we do have a quorum. Does anyone have any proposed changes to the agenda? Yeah. With that, then, if I could get a motion to approve.
Motion will approve the minutes as is.
Motion by Elfrida Alston. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Christina Piard. All in favor, please say aye. Motion passes. And then as well, the minutes, we have any changes to the August minutes?
I saw on there that it said, I was absent and then Alfreda Austin was absent. And then at the bottom, it says that she adjourned the meeting.
It's because I was like a couple minutes late.
We were late.
That's what happened here.
Were you also late?
No.
Okay, then that would need to be,
There's an innovation in the minutes and we,
right, but you said it says you were absent.
it's definitely absent.
Oh, you were, okay,
It's definitely absent.
okay. My apologies. All right, then, can I get a motion then to approve the August minutes?
Make a motion will approve the August minute.
Motion by Elfrida Alston. Do I have a second? Second by Alan Wilson. All in favor to approve the August minutes as presented? Please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. And we will move to our public comment period. Before we get started, I would like to say, when you approach the stand, please state your name and address at the start of your comments. And there is a time limit of 3 minutes that should be on that screen. In the interest of time and fairness, it is the board's policy not to respond directly to comments during this period. Staff will follow up as appropriate. I am going to mess this one up. Davis, Lenz Wasbecker.
There's not a microphone, is that fine?
It's that circle
Okay.
right there. Yeah, you're okay.
Well, I'm Davis Lindsay Weisbecker, and I live
Thank you.
at 99 Reeves Road. I'm speaking this evening about the major subdivision preliminary plat for phase 1 of Reeves Farm. I live in the neighborhood just west of the subdivision. And I want to highlight first how excited I am, including my whole family, including my son here, about the parks and greenways that are coming. I know they wouldn't be coming if it weren't for this development. And so I'm generally positive, but I do have a few questions and recommendations. My questions concern conditions of the rezoning that stipulated that there would be a phasing plan, a development agreement, and a traffic impact analysis before the preliminary plat approval. So I just wanted to check if these conditions had been met, and if so, how the public could learn more about the content of those documents. And then my recommendations, I really am trying to be pragmatic and look for things that are mutually beneficial or at least not burdensome. And I'll go through them quickly, but I did provide a printout with more like benefits that I see to the community, the developers, people moving here. So first and foremost, I think we need to integrate affordable housing into all phases. Based on this plan, all the affordable housing is limited to phase 2. And I think there's equity concerns there, as phase 1 is the section closest to the schools, the library, senior center, et cetera. Second, I think we need to ensure commercial development is keeping pace with our residential development to broaden our tax base, support walkable growth, and maybe moderate some traffic. Third, and this relates to the next one, I think it's in the best interest to decline the fee in lieu of parkland, as land cannot be bought in this area for $40,000 an acre, even if it were available. The land use plan is recommending at least 75 contiguous acres of forest for the Robertson Creek Headwaters Conservation Area that this is mostly earmarked for. And it looks like only 20 acres are designated to be preserved with the rest clear cut. Most of phase one is early successional habitat. And again, the condensed area near the pond is not really meeting the recommendations in the land use plan about how much land needs to be conserved to really meet that use. And then finally, I would just urge them to utilize native or at least native cultivars rather than the exotic landscaping species listed in their plat. There's plenty of options in the UDO that meet the same sort of recommendations for foliage, drought, deer resistance, et cetera. There's going to be mass removal of native species happening from this parcel, no matter what. So whatever we can do to try to mitigate that, I think benefits everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Liz Cullington.
That's me. Name is Liz Collington. I live at 390 Rocky Hills Road, Pittsburgh. I'm here speaking on the small area plan. The timeline for review of a small area plan was written for a plan covering one or at most two planning sections. It also seems wrong to ask you to review a totally different type of plan and a new two-step process without the town board revising those requirements. It's important to note that the town board hadn't been given the fine print of what's really being proposed when they allowed this to be referred to you. Initially, it seemed that this very large plan was going to be conceptual because it was so sketchy with details to follow. But the proposed smaller section design plans wouldn't replace the small area plans or that process. They would have only some of the detail that's supposed to be in this plan. But more importantly, and even worse, the review process for those later plans is very different and very constrained. All the review would be at the staff level and just be box checking. Neither the planning board nor the town board would have any discretion or any input on virtually all aspects of those later plans, nor any affected members of the public. On pages 4 to 5, it states if all required standards are met as determined by town staff, and the proposed public facilities are deemed adequate by the town board of commissioners, then the section design plan shall be approved. And where the text lists the contents of those design plans, there are footnotes confirming how little only the town board is allowed to weigh in, limited to the location of parks, greenways, and fire stations. That's it. Regarding land use, the so-called conceptual plan adds almost nothing to the master plan anyway, except for somewhat sneakily allowing a large amount of remaining non-residential acreage to be converted to yet more housing. That's also at page 4. Something you could easily miss. Even if called conceptual, whatever details are in this plan would be approved with the plan, such as that one, but even those could be changed later. Meanwhile, there's no requirement that submittal of design plans be spaced out in time, and site plans could come too soon. All of this constitutes an upended process so entirely opposite to all normal procedures and what Chatham Park investors had agreed to. It's breathtaking. This proposed process is outlined in the plan before you, and I urge you to reject it, if not as undesirable, at least as not approved. If you're forced to proceed, please take your time. Please also consider the big picture. Does this plan provide any of the benefits that supported the original approval 10 years ago? It was not supposed to be just thousands of new homes, but a job-generating engine with a vast amount of new non-residential property tax and sales revenue. Thank you for allowing me.
Thank you, Ms. Cullington. Next, I have Maura Dillon.
What I just handed to you is actually nothing that I'm submitting. It's from my neighbor Betsy Kraus, who is sick tonight and unfortunately couldn't be with us. I am Maura Dillon and I live at 326 Mockernut Road in Pittsburgh. I'm going to be quick this time. I just am going to echo a lot of what the last speaker was saying, that I hope that you will take your time in reviewing the small area plan and not feel rushed into making recommendations to the Board of Commissioners before you've had plenty of time to review it, get your questions asked and responded to, and to make sure that you have your work session. It seems to me that aside from all the questions about the details of the plan, which you've only recently received, There are a lot of questions about this new process that was presented at your last meeting, breaking up the small area plan procedure that was originally agreed on in the 2015 into a conceptual small area plan and the smaller section design plans. First of all, is it possible to change the terms of the process even while it is taking place? Maybe this is okay, but it seems unusual to me and maybe questionable. Is this a precedent for other procedures in the future? It seems like maybe it's sidelining some of the conflicts and issues that people are having. Assuming that it is an acceptable procedure according to the town, it seems very unclear how the conceptual small area plan with subsequent section design plans differs from the original small area plan. It seems sort of convoluted to me at this point. There has been a general master plan that was going to be followed up with multiple detailed small area plans over time. The new suggestion is that a non-binding conceptual small area plan, which does not offer a lot more detail than the master plan, be approved and followed up with smaller, more detailed section design plans. It's very unclear what the implications of the change is to me. What does the town achieve? And what are the advantages to Chatham Park investors? I'm just very unclear about this. In the material I've seen, the primary difference seems to be there's no place for public input or community engagement, and that it reduces or eliminates any oversight capacity for the town. So my worst fear is that this is a strategy that ultimately gives the developers what they want, but there could be more to it than that. But I think it's very convoluted at this point. So I just urge you to take your time. Either way, it's important for it to be made crystal clear what's gained or lost in the process. And that is what you need to make a responsible choice. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dillon. Next is Lenore Yarger.
Hi, I'm Lenore Yarger, 3355 Woody Store Road, Tyler City. And once again, I want to appreciate y'all for your patience and taking time and attention to listen to us speak on the small area plan. I sit on the County Transportation Advisory Board, and I know that it takes many volunteer hours to deal with big issues like this. So I just want to say that I appreciate you. I'd like to ask a few things of you tonight. I think, first of all, that many of us have made it pretty clear that we're concerned about the town board foregoing its ability to influence the future development of the South Village if one giant small area plan is approved. Town staff have included a proposal for section design plans in the SAP as an attempt to maintain town influence. But we are concerned that the language of the SAP as it now reads, which defines these section design plans and the process for their approval, doesn't yet meet a standard that will ensure the same degree of town influence or public engagement as would the original proposal in the master plan for multiple small area plans. So before you consider your recommendation about this SAP, I ask that you work with the town staff to strengthen the language around the section design process so that we're all convinced that this is actually in the town's best interest. If that can't be done, then I ask you to recommend against this plan. Second, I hope that you will give yourselves the time you need to digest all this material and work through it. I ask you to formally request town staff to organize a working session for you. I thought you had asked that at the last board meeting. I'm not sure where the breakdown in communication came, but I hope that that will take place. And I also encourage you to request an extension of the 60-day time limit for you to make a recommendation to the town board. Even a small extension would ensure that you can have at least 2 more planning board meetings prior to your having to make a recommendation on this. And finally, we still lack significant clarity in a financial analysis to which others may speak tonight because it doesn't include a detailing of expenses to the town. And I don't think any recommendation for this plan should be made until the financial piece has been accurately and adequately detailed. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Emily Sutton.
Good evening. I'm Emily Sutton. I'm the Haw River Keeper and Executive Director at Haw River Assembly.
I come to you tonight along with several other.
Sorry, if you would, your address, please.
Oh, sorry, I'm at 143 Bynum Beach Road, Pittsburgh.
Thank you.
I come to you tonight along with dozens of other community members to ask that you do not vote on the small area plan as proposed by Chatham Park. The proposal that has been put forward by Chatham Park investors fails to address each area of the 5,000 acre plan as individual designs as initially proposed in Chatham Park's commitment to the town of Pittsburgh. By approving one unified plan for the 5,000 acre project, the town will not have the ability to protect specific areas of concern, such as streams and wildlife corridors, steep slopes and highly erodible soils, buffers, and stormwater infrastructure. The initial proposal from Chatham Park investors identified 27 small areas to review. By consolidating that initial proposal into one 5,000 acre small area plan, Chatham Park investors have taken yet another step to erode the public trust for the community members that call Pittsburgh home. As this 30-year project plan is developed, the planning board and town board members must maintain the ability to review, progress, and amend plans if necessary. By approving a small area plans individually as the project progresses, this provides an opportunity for Chatham Park investors to build trust with elected officials, staff, and members of the public to show that their approved plans are effective and protect our resources. If the plans are not successful, this gives the staff and elected officials the opportunity to amend and modify proposals if additional small plans are approved. Chatham Park Investors has designed construction plans and post-construction stormwater measures to withstand a 10-year storm, which is the minimum allowable by the state of North Carolina. Chatham County requires plans to design for a 25-year storm. Only a few months ago, our town experienced catastrophic flooding during what has since been called a 1,000-year storm. Much of this plan includes locations that are already within the floodplains, and as we have seen, increased impervious surfaces dramatically increase flooding downstream. These areas of high risk must be addressed as individual small area plans in order to protect future residents of the Chatham Park community and existing residents along our impacted streams and along the Haw River. So again, I urge you as members of the planning board to use your authority to abstain from voting to move forward with the small area plan as proposed and request that Chatham Park investors present each of the 27 initially proposed areas as individual plans. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Steve Wolford.
Good evening. I'm Steve Wolford of 3355 Woody Store Road. People who went ahead of me covered some things that I was going to say. So I wanted to speak about the Chatham Park issue. Following the conversations I've heard lately, I look at maybe changes from the original plan to approving things in a different set of packages. I've heard the staff from Pittsburgh talk about the advantages that come, why this might be a planner's dream to be able to be in the beginning, working on every stage. And I see value in that. And at the same time, I heard commissioners talking about, they want to be sure that there's ongoing input and not hand everything over. From my own perspective, I mean, at some point, everything's going to get planned. It's going to happen sooner or later. I understand packages, but where I have the most concerns is that there's a lot of clarity. Maybe there can be a best of both worlds where there can be a whole lot of oversight for a big plan, but there's still plenty of room for ongoing modifications or different steps have to still be reviewed by a planning board, still have to be passed by the town. I think language is important. There's things I've heard talked about that I can't find exactly in the plan. And you can have an understanding that exists in a staff person's head and in the developer's head. And then I see a scenario later on where that parcel's been sold to somebody else and that staff person may be working somewhere else. And people have different impressions of what was agreed to. So I just think it's really important to have something that you can fall back on and say, here we can see clearly what we agreed to. Here's where we worked it out, and everybody knows. And if expectations are different, it's clear from that plan how they get resolved and who gets to decide how they get resolved or what the process is. So I'd just like to see, in light of maybe these changes and this different kind of vision than what I thought was there, that be as clear as possible so that nobody's in a situation down the road where people are saying, we never agreed to that. Wait, you said, and there's just a clear picture for working those kinds of things out. I think that's as much as I'll say for now. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have Megan Kimball.
Good evening, Chair and Planning Board members. My name is Megan Kimball. I'm a senior attorney at the Southern Environmental Law Center. And I have prepared remarks tonight, but they overlap with a lot of what everybody's already said about the Chatham Park South Village Small Area Plan. So I'm going to hand this to your staff member along with my card and ask her to please share this with you. And I thought I would just speak off the cuff a little bit to share a little bit about my organization and a couple of just brief thoughts. So the Southern Environmental Law Center, if you're not familiar with us, we're a regional organization. We work throughout the Southeast. I'm on our land and community team, and I'm located in Chapel Hill, just down the road. And all of my work is about building what we call clean, connected communities. In fact, we have a statewide group that we call Clean Connected Communities, and a couple of the people in the audience here today participate in that. And we work with communities across the state to try to help put policies and plans in place that build the communities that everybody really wants. Connected, walkable communities where the air is clean, people have vibrant places to get together and build community, and places kind of like the Chatham Park development, the way that it was described in the beginning, this sort of live, work, play vision, this utopian ideal. And so I'm here tonight to offer myself as a resource. Like I said, I passed along my card. So if any board members individually would like to talk with me, or if the town would like to work with us, we provide our services for free. But I think I also just wanted to stress that, I think that you're right to be asking questions, taking the time to think these things through. All of this is so complicated, and I know that it must be a really heavy weight to have to make these decisions, because that the decisions you make today are going to affect Pittsburgh forever as it grows from a town of 5,000 to tens and tens of thousands of people. And I think you're also right to insist that the developer follows through on the commitment that it made 10 years ago. This sort of utopian idea of these beautiful walkable, connected villages. And so I think some big questions that I have are sort of around this conceptual plan, this idea that sort of midway through the game, the rules are going to change, and we're not talking about multiple small area plans, but this sort of more general thing. And I see I'm running out of time, but please refer to what I provided and reach out. We're here to help. Thank you.
Thank you. And then lastly, we have Carol Hewitt.
You say last but not least, did I hear you say?
Last but not least,
Thank you.
absolutely.
I'm Carol Hewitt, 424 Johnny Burke Road, Pittsburgh, and I want to start with, in the spirit of honesty and trust, I said something at the town board meeting last Monday, but not accurate. Chuck, I said that you were going to clear cut 5,000 acres. That is not true. They are required to leave 10% tree coverage at least. So maybe it's 4,500, maybe it's 44, but honestly, I was wrong. I exaggerated. And I asked Chatham Park to be honest with us, and I want to be honest in my comments. So I am prone to exaggeration. Moving on to tonight and the small area plan. Much of what my thoughts have been said. Your work session, you asked for a work session. I heard you, you didn't get it. I think you're going to have to do a formal motion. You're going to have to be more assertive for the things that you want. It is not going to be in anybody's best interest but yours to ask for what you want. Do you all have a printed copy of the vast amount of documents that came in the mail to all of us? Digital copy, okay. I mean, I printed one up last time. It was rather expensive. I will try to print one up for myself in order to look at these maps and to compare them and to really see what's going on. You deserve a printed copy. I'm just saying. So I hope you will get one. It's really hard otherwise to do. This is complicated. You're being asked to do something and take on a responsibility for a recommendation that will impact this town, this county, this state, this world for beyond decades, forever. This is a really significant proposal, project. There's not anything really like it that we've seen ever in North Carolina, certainly. So, and I'm really excited about the Southern Environmental Law Center offering to help you for free. Those are free, highly skilled professionals that work in this field. She handles traffic. Took me 3 minutes to get from Walgreens to Havoc tonight. I mean, that's 2/10 of a mile in 3 minutes, and we don't have any but the new people here yet. So we need a serious traffic analysis. I mean, you know, in my neighborhood where I live right next to Chatham Park, they put 30,000 people here. I may never come to Pittsburgh again, which is kind of hard. And the last thing I want to say is, have you heard the phrase, "You'll never have to vote again"? Well, the way I read this, you may never get to vote again. So I know I've asked Teresa about this, but I'm not finding in this package where after this conceptual plan is passed, public meetings, like had been held for the 40 years that I've been in Chatham County. Whenever we had issues, we had public meetings and we had public input. And planning board got to vote and town board got to vote. I don't see that in here. So
Thank you, Ms. Hewitt.
I'm going to get educated. Thank you very, very much.
Moving on to old business, there is none. So moving to new business, this is the recreation fee in lieu, I believe, is being presented by Mr. Paul Messick.
Good evening. The reason I'm doing this is the director was out on sick leave and I volunteered, but he's back like Lazarus. In any event, let me try to explain what's on the table. The first matter is primarily a housekeeping measure that deals with the recreation fees in lieu of. The state authorizes cities like Pittsburgh to be able to require dedication in certain areas for recreation purposes. Pittsburgh's formula is 1/33 of an acre per lot. In some cases, because of the size of the development, it's not particularly feasible or practical to have public recreation in that small development. So there are alternatives that are proposed. The current UDO allows for dedication of recreation areas off the site of the development and also the payment of a fee in lieu of. This proposed amendment is to address the way the fee is calculated prior to the formation of the UDO and the old subdivision regulations. The fee was based upon the post-development value of the property that is required to be dedicated. This change suggests that the valuation be based upon the post-development value.
You said again, you said it was based upon post and now it's
based upon pre now in the current UDO. And the proposed change would make it post-development. It's as simple as that.
Well, what's post-development value? Like how
Post-development value.
generally be more.
Rather than the pre-development.
Sure, yeah, I imagine, but like how far post-development, like within 50% of the development or after it's completely developed, or how is that assessed?
Post-development is after it's developed.
100% developed? The
The area that is involved in the calculation of a recreation space it could be a phase or it could be the complete development.
Sure.
But you figure out how many lots there are and you multiply that by 1/33 and you come up with a certain area. And then you calculate the post-development value of that area for tax purposes.
Okay, I'm sorry, maybe I'm just not understanding this, like, so pre-development area, there's nothing there, and then post-development area, there's homes, there's infrastructure, there's other things, right? And the value of that at a given time, which you measure it, is at the beginning of development of that?
No, sir, post-development is after it's developed. Pre-development is before it's developed.
I understand that, like, after it's completely developed, or a certain percentage of that, so if you're developing 400 homes,
May
that makes sense?
may I maybe help?
Sure.
I'll try, at least, maybe if I understand your question. So would it be, for example, if I'm building a subdivision that has 33 homes and each home is worth $1 million, or we're projecting the home is worth $1 million?
It's not the value of the homes, it's the value of the land.
The land itself, of just the land. So and that calculation would happen before and part of the process that they go through with the planning with the planning.
Would be by the time of final plat approval. That would be before any houses are built at all.
So land is more valuable.
So the post-development value would be an estimate, obviously, but it would, the number of acres that they have to provide will be based obviously on the whole parcel as they got it. Then whatever they did not provide, whatever they provided short of that initial requirement would be a fee in lieu, and that fee in lieu would be calculated on the value of the land after it was developed. So it would generally be, I shouldn't say generally, it's always going to be more valuable after it's developed.
So like they could have developed more homes on that? Like, and that's the value of the land after they develop those homes? Say, if, like if you have 1/4 acre homes, right? And they didn't develop those, is now the value of that land what you could have put 4 homes on?
No, sir, you don't understand.
No,
the process.
Sorry.
For example, the Griffin Farms developed.
Sure.
99 lots, 99 units. That would divide that by 33.
Sure.
You come up with 3. What is the post-development value of 3 acres? That's it. That's all it is.
And what's the difference between pre and post of that 3 acres?
It's just the value. So the raw land before it's been cut and anything put on it. Say it's worth $40,000 an acre. After it's developed, it's worth $75,000 an acre.
But what if it's like 1/8 of an acre amongst, separated, there's 38th of an acre?
It's not really cut into pieces like that. It wouldn't be a lot, like a home site versus
If they
this.
fee in lieu of, they're not going to have any public recreation area at all. There's not going to be any, all of it will be developed.
Yeah.
And just I know you said always, it will always be more valuable. Is that what?
I hate to say always, but I can't imagine that a piece of land with water, sewer, streets is not more valuable than raw land.
Unless it was undevelopable because it was small and disjointed, like 4 acres divided by 16 different small spots. Never mind. Yeah.
Okay, quick question. Does this impact the timing of when we receive the fee in lieu of?
No, sir, that's not changed. It's at final plat approval stage,
Okay.
which means that it has to be at least 75% complete.
And this is just a request to change the calculation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The number that we use to calculate. Okay.
Does anyone else? Any other questions? All right, can I get a motion then to approve the changes as presented?
Make a change.
Sorry, motion by Alfreda Alston. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Seconded by Christina Piard. It is a motion to approve changes to the recreation fee in lieu as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. And then next, also by Mr. Paul Messick, the planning board provisions in the Unified Development Ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This matter is also more of a housekeeping matter than anything else. State law requires that representatives of advisory boards like yourselves that have ETJ representation, those members have to be proportional to the number of people that are in the ETJ, and requires that after every decennial census that figure be recalculated. We currently have 7 members, regular members of the planning board, 5 of whom are in town and 2 of whom are ETJ representatives. That number of the ETJ representatives could change depending on the population in the town and in the ETJ, and that has to be recalculated. But the current method is 5 and 2. This proposed amendment to the UDO provisions about the planning board incorporates that. It was never specific in the ordinance before. It was a policy, and the town made that adjustment previously. But this just puts that into black and white in the ordinance itself. The other substantial change to the planning board provisions in the UTO is to incorporate the policy that the town board adopted some time ago about absences and how you calculate attendance and what the consequences of not attending meetings should be. The rest of it is sort of reformatting what was in the current UDO. And I think that the clerk handed out a copy of the existing ordinance provisions. This is a little bit longer, but it's basically the same thing. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to respond.
Sorry, Paul, is there anyone who can kind of articulate the differences between the existing policy for representation and this new proposed?
I don't know about articulate, gave you copies of both.
Sure. But I just didn't see the previous version. What were the differences or changes? Randy, or can anyone tell me what changed? I don't have the old version in front of me.
Specifics about the ETJ representation and
Yeah.
specifics about the actual policies.
Yeah, what's changed? I don't know. I know like the proposed.
All added, they were all just,
I think you said the attendance policy was changed or added to
Yes, ma'am.
the statute, or I don't know if it's a
weren't there before and they're there now.
Okay, so no changes, just they're here.
For housekeeping. Housekeeping.
Sounds good.
They're doing house cleaning.
They were a gentleman's agreement before and they were officially
Yeah.
to the policy.
Do you have any questions on that? No, if not, could I get a motion to approve the required extraterritorial jurisdiction representation provisions to the Unified Development Ordinance as presented?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the required extraterritorial jurisdiction representation provisions in Unified Development Ordinance UDO as presented.
Thank you, Mr. James Buster. Do I have a second? Seconded by Alan Wilson. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say aye.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Messick. We'll move on to a rezoning request, PB 23-358 at 102 Park Drive, I believe. Yes, Mr. Cahoon Tingle is going to present that one to us.
Excuse me, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I did make it back and I did live despite
Welcome back.
rumors to the opposite. So this evening's presentation from me, we received a legislative request by VRC, Limited, Jan Nichols here behind me, submitted a petition for a map amendment, which I believe in just a second will be up on the screen in front of you guys. This one's one of the more plain ones. Unlike most of our recent ones, this is not a conditional rezoning. This is just anything that's allowed in the parcel that is closest to Hillsborough Street would be allowed on this particular one. It is 3.72 acres. It's currently located next to the Alpha Center. Property is currently vacant. Owner intends to utilize the parcel for offices and residential uses. It's currently classified as residential in the future land use plan, which I believe will be the next slide. Yeah, there you go. The yellow is residential. The red is, of course, commercial. Excuse me. It's adjacent to a mixed use activity center, and the Pittsburgh future land use plan parcel has open space designated along Park Drive. And if you go to the next slide, basically the net effect is the part that's cross-hatched would become highway commercial as well. I'm going to send the petitioner up. The only thing I'm going to note to you all is that when this package was prepared, what was not included in the final draft was a consistency statement for approval and a consistency statement for disapproval. So once the petitioner comes up and pleads their case, we'll go over how that works out.
I would also like to mention to the board that you received 2 consistency statements in your packet. There was also a draft consistency statement that the applicant supplied. That is not what you're going off of.
For information.
Okay. This is Jan.
Thank you very much. My name is Jan Nichols. I'm with VRC Limited. Good evening, Chair, board members, town staff. I'm here in support of our request to rezone parcel 79930 from R12 to C2 first. And this is a summary of a sheet that I provided that has more detail. Pittsburgh is facing strong growth pressures, and this isn't just about new housing. It's also about providing the commercial and retail services our residents need close to home. Second, adding businesses and commercial options strengthens and diversifies the tax base, and that balance helps ensure long-term financial stability for the town. Third, zoning is a planning tool. It is not a legal constraint. The town has consistently adapted zoning to meet evolving needs. Fourth, there is strong precedent. In just the last 2 years, this board and the town commissioners have approved rezonings that demonstrate flexibility and responsiveness. Consider the Plant rezoned to community mixed use in 2025, Cooper's Ridge to mixed use planned development in 2025, Robeson's Walk from heavy industrial to highway business and multifamily in 2024, and Reeves Farm over 5,000 acres to neighborhood mixed use center in 2023. And there are more on the document that I distributed. All of these approvals advanced Pittsburgh's broader needs, and many were granted even though they were inconsistent with the land use plan. Fifth, this site is appropriate for C2 zoning given current infrastructure improvements. 15501 is being widened, and this property sits on a primary stretch in the approach to downtown. With the future widening of Hillsborough Street, access to this area will be significantly improved. It is appropriate for C2 property to be located near the town's arterial connections. Sixth,
Site access realities favor commercial rather than residential use. There is an environmental feature on Park Drive that prevents or severely limits direct site access from that road. And you could see that stream on one of the preceding slides, if you want to scroll back up. The one that showed the water. This rezoning would allow, excuse me, access from the east toward 15501 through the existing Alpha Center. Importantly, it is not feasible to provide a conventional single-family neighborhood entrance through the Alpha Center from 15501. Attempting to develop this parcel under current residential zoning would require a stream crossing and buffer impacts to the branch that runs parallel to Park Drive. Our preference, and the more environmentally responsible option, is to preserve existing vegetation along Park Drive and allow C2 access from the Alpha Center. For these reasons, we respectfully ask that you approve this rezoning. Have questions for myself or our engineer at this point?
The only question I have really is obviously the access to that site is going to be very sensitive, certainly off of Park Drive. Park Drive itself, the road itself. I don't know, you said
there's no
wouldn't
to use that.
There's no plan, but I don't want to say plans change, but
So.
I mean, you've had conversations.
Sorry, say again.
Residential lot abutting.
I mean, we have never discussed in any discussion about the property that would want to come in from Park Drive, but.
So I think everyone's familiar with the widening of 15501 and actually the widening of Park Drive. So the land.
Not familiar with widening of Park Drive.
So they are actually going to have a 3-lane turn on Park Drive. So part of this property is going to be utilized by NCDOT, where you see it kind of going up toward the environmental feature, the stream. And it has been noted in all the years that we've discussed with the town and came forward years ago with a rezoning or conditional rezoning. We would want the access to come from the existing crossing coming into the Alpha Center, which used to be, a place where people sold cars, right? So it's got a very wide entry there.
You are speaking about the entry off of 15501, not the one from Park Drive.
There's a Park
Okay.
Drive exit entry
Where?
now.
Okay.
And so you wouldn't need to add an extra one. You just
utilize that one.
Utilize that one because now it's the same property owner. They'll just combine it into one. And at some point in the future, they would make use of the property in the back, right? It may not be today or tomorrow. Many years ago, they just simply wanted to build a parking lot because Spectrum wanted to come to town and rent half of the Alpha Center in order to, have they knew development was coming and they wanted to actually put a center in there, but they didn't have, weirdly enough parking, right? You have all the parking in front, but they wanted a place where they could go and put up fencing for their trucks. And so that's what started this process 4.5 years ago.
But then that is the idea now.
The idea would ultimately be you'd build some type of office use that would come under C2, but they would all be.
Not just parking lot.
No, we're not. Yeah, that was the original thing, but that went out the window when A, it didn't get rezoned, and B, Spectrum decided it was taking too long. I mean, the original application was in 2021.
Right.
Are you talking about the ingress and egress being the same place into that property?
Yes, there's currently a place you can come off Park Drive into the Alpha Center. If anyone's ever gone to Kakalaki or Hoops Pizza, there's one off Park Drive. That is not going to change. DOT is going to widen that. The property owner cooperated with DOT. So that's all been done and baked into the cake. And then you'll still have an entry across from Springdale to the Alpha Center. So adding this on the backside, the intention is not to have another crossing. The intention is just to use those.
To turn in up and into it.
Correct.
So y'all have been talking about offices. When I read through this stuff, there was information about a potential hotel So what's that?
Well, you could put a hotel potentially according to C2 on the current site, you know, for.
As well as townhomes, I believe.
Right.
And apartments.
I mean, whatever is
When
currently.
you say current site, you mean the alpha site?
The alpha site is C2, yes. So if you were going to site a hotel, it might be better if this was zoned C2 so you could wiggle it around. But the engineer right here, Susan Joplin and Brandon Moore cited a hotel there many years ago when they were just, the property owner was looking at options. The thing that would be best, I think, for everyone, I think this board is quite aware of the rain and the flooding that happens further down on Oakwood. As long as I've been here in town, that's been an issue. That land on the front side of there could be worked between that current landowner and the town to create some type of stormwater catch basin system, you know, cooperating with the town. If there was to be some development there, and Susan could speak to this, you'd have a stormwater pond, and that would be a perfect opportunity for the town and that property owner to cooperate and ameliorate a problem that's been going on for at least 20 years, right? And so getting this thing moved along, I think, would help that happen. What happened tomorrow, the landowner has no plans to do anything yet. They've just been trying to get this rezoned since 2021. But I think at that point, there would be an opening for a dialogue. And Susan, if you want to address the issue.
I'll just say that back in 2021, we did look at trying to make an access off of Park Drive through that, through the existing buffer, and it wasn't very feasible. There's a 60-foot buffer, there's the stream, there's floodplain. There was so much impact that it just didn't make sense to even try to do that.
So I understand it just wouldn't make sense. So then in this case, would it make sense for this to be a conditional rezoning and remove the residential option from C2?
Is there a residential option currently in C2?
Yes, so well, not single family, but townhomes and apartments, yes.
But if they were to be built, let's just say hypothetically, you could still access them through a circulation plan from the Alpha Center. You wouldn't necessarily want to come across there, right?
Okay, my understanding was the way we were talking was if it was residential, you would want it off of Park Drive. I'm sorry if I misunderstood that.
No, I think what Jan's referring to is, let's just say the property owner said, you know what, I'm retiring, I'm moving away and I'm going to sell this to someone, and someone just bought the 3.5 acres. Well, then that's whoever that buyer would come there and say, okay, I'm going to try to build some houses, and they would attempt to do that. But as long as it's under one owner that wants a coherent plan that makes sense, you aren't going to have that situation, which is why they would like to get this moved along, because they want to work with the town. Our office is over there. We rent from that owner. We're representing that owner. That's why we're here.
Understood.
I have another question. In this packet of information, there was a lot of conversation with the property owner of the two adjoining lots to the north. They don't show on that map, but
Corey Golden.
yeah. And it sounded like there was a potential of, if this piece of property gets rezoned, then expanding the rezoning into those other two properties, which would expand commercial further north behind the residences that are on.
So to be specific, Lori has a real estate company in town. She used to rent over there, and she and her husband, who also own Allen and Son, own those two lots. They have had interest, and I think they've come to the town, or representatives come to the town in the last few years to inquire what they could do. When she sat down with us and we went through the options, we said, look, here's some plans that were drawn up if you wanted to cooperate, but if not, they can do whatever they want to. They have an access off of 15501. They could come in there and build whatever they want. We just said that if you did decide to build something, we'd cooperate with you, help you. So you wouldn't have just developments on developments without connectivity.
Randy, you're talking about like 6613 and
Yes.
Yeah, okay, these two?
Yeah.
Right, so just north of the highlighted portion and then to the
She was in favor of the plan, And she just wanted to be assured that if something happened, that this property owner would cooperate with her, and the answer was yes. I mean, you don't want people doing rezonings and not cooperating with their neighbors.
So my understanding with rezoning is y'all are saying you want to build offices, but rezoning opens it up to the possibilities of lots of other commercial things. So if,
C2, yes.
if we voted to rezone and then the property owner decided to sell it to somebody else, and they could come in and do whatever.
They could build apartments without coming back and having to rezone.
Like a
Yes.
conditional rezoning.
I don't think they
Correct.
asked for a conditional.
This is not, no, this is not conditional. No. This is a straight C2 rezoning.
So to be clear, the property owner came in 4.5 years ago, met with town staff. Now, town staff has had some changes. And they submitted a conditional O&I zoning to try to do the parking lot. Then that was withdrawn because it appeared that some of the neighbors didn't like that. We had a neighborhood meeting. Then they came back and did a conditional use zoning that this board unanimously supported, and many, many months were spent negotiating that. And because the town was going to do a new land use plan, it was voted down at the town board level because a new land use plan was going to be done, and the instruction was to come back later. Then the property owner came to the town and said, what would you like us to do? And they said, you know what, it's C2 on the front. It just makes a lot more sense to have it all one coherent thing, especially with DOT coming in and widening all the way up to your property line. So they submitted C2. So essentially, if the board said, go back and come back and do that, it would be the third time that they were going and doing that in 4.5 years for a very small thing. I mean, this is just a little parcel that they're just trying to get coherent with the front parcel that they've owned since 2018.
I wasn't part of any of those previous discussions, and so this is new to me. And so I just want to put that.
I don't know that. I think Frida
Yeah.
you may be the only one left who was around. But that's,
Just makes sense to do
Um,
it, because then it make it all one zoning and not one here and one there. Yeah, it would make sense to make it C2, to make it all correct.
well,
The thing about the landowner, I've known the property owner in question for 32 years. These are long-term people who care about the community, live in Chapel Hill. They're not looking to speculate and sell. In fact, they worked hard with DOT to change the plan for DOT to make it better on the corridor, because that property is kind of a key piece for the widening. So they're not going away. You know, they brought Kakalaki in there, which is a local owner. This is something that they intend to own and sit on, not flip, as evidenced by buying the property behind it from J.A. Webster and sitting on this for almost 8 years.
anyone have any more questions?
Just refresh my memory, where does the widening stop?
Widening goes all the way down 15501 on the front side of that property. And that's already been worked out with DOT. I think on the front side, on the parking drive, if you go out there, you can see that they're tapering it in because they're going to create a turning lane. I mean, I'm sure, Randall, you've seen the turning lane plan.
They're talking about this. I know the dotted line
All the
here.
way up to McDonald's, it's gonna be like a turning lane.
No, I'm
Talking about going, heading west
They're
from.
going to go pretty much almost the full length of that property 102. It doesn't get to the property to the west, but pretty much most of that property, DOT contacted them to have a drainage easement and to have a taper for the turn.
Good. Kind of follow the dotted line here on the map. A huge stitch going down, so it's gotta be.
All right. If that is all, then
Like this.
I'll accept a motion.
Oh,
No, they're talking about the access being right here in the middle of this. Why that's it? Okay. No, because there's already access point here.
You have it like readily, like right there?
So
If you could bring that up, then yeah, that'd be great. Alan, she said they have a map of that that they can put up quickly for us.
Freedom.
Thank you.
While we're waiting, I really, really appreciate the orange.
Thank you.
Green ball. Thank you. I,
Does look like the fall.
that's exactly, this is why I have my own.
There you go. Coordinated.
Support, does anyone wish to make a motion to approve or deny, or?
I think she's gonna pull up the.
She's gonna pull that, and then I'm going to ask for a motion.
Pulls it out.
Either way.
Make a statement if you don't mind.
Yes,
And then we'll get to that.
that sounds great.
Let's just let her get that done.
So just to make sure I'm clear in my mind, I know I'm getting. So the access point would be there on Park Drive, going into the parking lot.
The
The
existing Park Drive access. There would not be a new access.
Be a revamped access.
Yes.
Because they're gonna widen it, and then also the access off Hillsborough Street coming in on the north side, right?
It doesn't get any wider. It's already
Right.
for a car lot.
It's wider, just gets better, or bigger, different.
All right, so where are we? Okay.
Yeah, there's. Is, while we're waiting, so.
I mean, there you go.
All right.
I'll see two
That
already,
should help you see what they're doing on Park Drive.
Yeah,
yellow,
the Alpha Center is that.
orange.
Yeah.
I mean, so the preference of the property owner is to keep the land down by Park Drive, roughly an acre of it all wooded anyway, and use their current access to come in and do something if and when. And you can see that DOT wants to put in a turn lane. You can see they work with the property owners there to acquire the easements and the drainage easements. It's done.
So we were doing really good a second ago.
There we go.
Okay.
But now coming out of Park Drive, going north on 15501
Exist.
would pretty much be the existing situation, only folks would have to cross 3 lanes rather than the current 2. Is that right?
Yeah, that doesn't have a change. That's not for this rezoning. That is not an issue for this zoning.
If you're a resident there, not.
Okay, so just for the sake of clarity, I wanted to throw in a couple of things. First, if the petitioner decided to come back with conditional rezoning, they would need to withdraw this application.
Understood.
You cannot write one of those on the fly. So as long as we're cool with that, what we have here is there's no dispute, regardless of which one of these 3 consistency statements you use. This does not match the land use plan, okay? Everybody needs to be completely cool with the idea. This is a non-match. The reasons for potentially going against the land use plan is that, oh goodness, where are we? All right, so for approval, it says here, request is also deemed an amendment to the plan. And it's reasonable in public interest because it's proximity to the mixed-use activity center. The denial one is, of course, the usual language of it's not in the public interest, won't benefit the surrounding community, et cetera. But again, essentially, you've got one piece already C2, and you just bump it back. You don't change any driveways. You simply give somebody more land to work with, which has a very wide, very, very environmentally sensitive area. That is not only floodplain, there's a large amount of wetlands there, which is why it has largely not been developed. Okay, as long as I got that out of my system, I'm ready to hear where we're going.
All right. Does anyone have any questions for Randy?
Can you just explain again, like how this does not,
It doesn't match the land use plan. It's very simple. Actually, if you went to the slide, you see that the front thing is red and the back thing's yellow. Yellow on the land use plan is residential. That is literally the way in which it doesn't match. So if it was red and this was red, then we would simply be working consistent with the plan.
Sure.
Yes.
All right, but, can I just
Dive in.
devil's advocate, right? So,
Please go ahead.
yeah, right, we're talking about, density in terms of developing homes, developing townhomes or new homes. You said this one hasn't been developed because of A, B, C, and D, because it's on a big hill.
Yeah.
And Randy had said, I think he said like they're really only considering the north side of that property to develop, which is on top of the hill.
Yes.
So not in the flood zone.
Right. You would not be able to do that. Yes. The flood zone part.
Not in the flood zone. So the north side of that property that's not in the flood zone is what they're most interested in doing something with. Potentially townhomes, potentially something else.
Office is what they mentioned.
It is, right? But I think that we articulated like the C2, you could do townhomes or
In C2, yes, that is.
The alternative would be like to hold it as top of the hill to do for the environment.
Actually, at this point, okay, when you get past this board and you go to the Board of Commissioners, if it's not approved, then it just stays exactly as it is right now. If it gets changed, it gives them an opportunity to expand the Alpha Center. That's basically the question is that, or remove it from the site and build something else.
And I just a quick question.
I've been.
So I remember many months ago, we had a discussion about changing zoning or according, and then it's in disagreement with the land use. And then therefore something happens with the state legislature.
So basically, is it possible to bring back up the last map, the three from the, yeah. So basically what happens is if you get to the one that's yellow and red, a little ketchup and mustard for us here. Outstanding. So basically what happens is if this were to get rezoned by the Board of Commissioners, then what is now yellow would be red.
That's in that box. And that's in the box.
Black box.
Oh, black.
It just changes what's in that black box, a different color.
Okay.
So the map is, it just makes the change to the map. It doesn't change the text, it just changes the map. Very simple map. All right, at this point, I'm exhausted.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
May not be for you, but you.
Planning director, are you sure?
Maybe for the engineer. You talked about the sensitive area.
Yes.
Bottom of that.
Yes, ma'am.
You build some more offices. I assume there's going to be some more paved parking lots. Has
And a
anybody?
device built there to address it. You can't build something new without a stormwater device.
That's my question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But and again, I'm not familiar with the extension off Park Drive. I know that like the widening of Hillsborough Street, but I wasn't sure about the widening of Park Drive, which addresses halfway into this property or thereabouts. Right, so like that's already going to be.
Well, they would have to work with the Corps of Engineers and mitigate any of that, make sure that that's all
right
taken care of. Yeah.
And whose responsibility would that be?
That's on DOT.
Okay.
That's not our
state. Yeah, that's the Department of Transportation. Not the owners.
It's not on the town.
I have one question.
Okay, everybody gets one.
All right, yeah. What controls do we have as a town to limit the the ecological impact of the change? Is it the site plan that will actually set that? And
It's the construction drawing. So once you get past this, if they plan to build something, they bring the construction drawing in-house for staff and we look at it there.
Bring it back.
Kind of do that, make sure.
All right. Everyone. I will accept a motion on this item. Either way.
I move to approve PB 25-358 as presented and to adopt the Town of Pittsburgh Planning Board land use. No, just I make a motion to approve the recommendation for PB 25-358 as presented.
A motion to recommend approval of PB 25-358 as presented has been made by Matt Hayes. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Elfrida Alston. All in favor, please raise your hand.
Raise hands. Okay.
All opposed? Okay. The motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Oh, Christina, just, it was wasn't sure which way it was going to go. I wanted to make sure I could see.
Yeah.
It's not like voting on the agenda.
It's just like, oh, we're changing.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for that. Moving on to the preliminary plat for Reeves Farm.
Good evening, Chair and Board. My name is Plat. I'm a senior planner, planning department here. Tonight, we have Reeves Farm Pittsboro LLC has submitted a preliminary plat for a major subdivision application for phase 1 of Reeves Farm development. Reeves Farm Pittsboro is approximately 496 acre master plan community that was rezoned to neighborhood mixed use center district, a conditional zoning in November of 2023. The site is located along US 64 Business West, east of Robertson Creek Road, currently in the town's ETJ, which is literally right across the street. Phase 1 application is proposed to include 251 single-family detached lots with an average lot size of 6,710 square feet. Phase 1 portion of the project consists of 91.75 acres. The community will be constructed in 4 phases of development. The first phase of development will be on the east side of the community bordering West Street, which is Highway 64, Hill Creek to the east, Robertson Creek to the south, future phase 2 to the west. The first phase of the community aligns with the Character District map dated September 23rd, 2023, sorry. The Character District map outlines Character Districts 3A, 3B, and 4A as possible character districts in the first phase of development, which is single-family residential in all 3 character districts as noted. The approved map delineates a setback of land uses from West Street, proposes future interparcel connectivity, reflects the general roadway system proposed, and establishes buffers along the environmental features of the property. Next, I'm going to go through our staff analysis that is attached in your packets. And instead of waiting until the end, please feel free to stop me at any time to ask questions. The plan use as stated is single family detached. The density is 2.7 units per acre, with the smallest lot size proposed being 4,400 square feet. For the utilities, a will serve letter for sewer and water allocation has been provided by Trout River Water. It is to provide treatment via the Sanford Regional Force Main. This development will receive water service from Trout River as well, as stated. The erosion control permit will be obtained at the construction drawing phase. The impervious is 28.42% for phase 1. Oh, no, for the entire phases, sorry. Stormwater, the applicant will submit stormwater plans to engineering with construction drawings. Streams and wetlands, there is a perennial stream running along the eastern and southern side of the site. Plat shows required 100-foot riparian buffers on each side of the stream. Property is also located within a floodplain that is running along the eastern and southern side of the site. For landscaping, parkland, and open space, there is no required perimeter or streetscape buffer in this zoning district. For parkland, if you look at your screen there, the required public parkland is 45.09 acres. They are providing 50.53 acres. And they are doing that with 55.03 acres of land, and the applicant is providing $500,000 at $40,000 per acre that equals an additional 12.5 acres. That money is for amenities to go into the parkland on this property alone. That calculation deducts 7 acres for the surface water of the pond. That is in phase, that is up there on Highway 64. You can see it, but it's
the existing pond.
yes, the existing pond. Yeah. For the open space, this is required 24.245 acres for all phases of development. They are providing 24.245 acres as noted on the map there. And this is to be maintained by their HOA. For the overall landscaping, planning staff will review detailed landscaping plans during the construction drawing phase. For access and circulation, preliminary street designs have been reviewed by the fire marshal. Final approval of roadways is required also at the construction drawing phase. Phase 1 will have a gravel access road proposed and a secondary access on the west side of the property for emergency access. This will be a temporary access road until future phases are built out. For roadways in Reeves Farm Phase 1, there are 11 public subdivision roads. The main loop, Reeves Farm Crescent Road, has a 60-foot right-of-way with 15-foot travel lanes. All other roads have either a 50 or 56-foot right-of-way and 11-foot travel lanes. The 56-foot right-of-way roads include a 6-foot to accommodate, include an additional 6 foot to accommodate for on-street parking. There is a road stub at the south side of the property for a future connection. Residential lots will have driveways that will provide 2 vehicle parking spaces per unit. For pedestrian use along 64, there will be a 10-foot multi-use path. 5 feet sidewalks on both sides of all internal subdivision streets. And if you go back to the park and rec map, if you don't mind, a 6,000 linear foot paved public greenway trail along Roberson Creek from West Street to future interparcel connector to be installed. That's those orange dots.
Where's the future roadway to the south? Am I missing?
Where the future connection?
Yeah, sorry.
It's can you go back to the overall layout plan?
Yeah, southwest corner there,
So that's corner. Oh, okay.
west corner.
Does that go down to some chapel then, or
It's like it's just a future connection.
over Robinson Creek though? I mean,
Yes.
So
is that part of?
there's the west route, sorry, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I have the same question, that's why.
Yeah.
There's the west route that has the loop and goes west back to 64, then there's the south. Is that what we're identifying as that south point that's?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, like didn't we go through like a big, another development south of them that wasn't
Yes.
approved?
That's what,
And we're saying,
I think that's right.
now?
That stub would.
Right.
That is a stub in case there is future development that could connect. Yes.
Okay, so it's not approved, it's not approving.
There's not an approved,
Okay. That was, okay.
yeah, it's just a stub.
There was a traffic impact analysis that was completed for the project. The comments from NC DOT for phase 1 requirements are to construct a left turn lane with 100-foot storage and appropriate tapers at Site Drive A on US 64 Business West. Construct a right turn taper at Site Drive A on 64 Business West. Maintain 12-foot wide through and turn lane widths throughout the project limits and provide a 100-foot internal protected stem at Site Drive A. Your site analysis also contains improvements for the full build out that are also there.
Ryan, you might have said it, but I think I missed it. The $500,000 fee in lieu. how much, how many acres is that being provided for?
12.5.
Sorry, say again?
12.5.
12.5, okay.
Value. It's $40,000 or, okay. It's down to 20.
And the traffic impact analysis will be updated with each phase. For consistency with Pittsboro's comprehensive plans, the comprehensive transportation plan, the proposal is consistent with the CTP. The CTP does not recommend any improvements for this project area. For the long-term vision map in the bicycle and pedestrian plan shows proposed physically separated bike and ped facilities. Therefore, the 10-foot wide multi-use path will be installed on the front, along the front of the property of its entirety.
It's like the mold line at the top.
Yes. And for the Parks and Rec plan, it shows a greenway trail in the project area along the eastern property line towards the southern portion of phase one. So the 6,000 feet of paved public greenways to be installed, as earlier stated. That's all I have. If you have any questions.
Anyone have any questions for Brian?
On the Robertson Creek, all the, for later expansion, that's all gonna be greenway slash protected, and is a part of the total green space. It's part of the plan forward.
Yes, it is protected. It's if you go back to the open space document, that greenway stops,
Yeah.
yeah, right there, at the.
Dotted line will be basically park slash greenway.
Yeah.
So in the part about the in lieu of parkland, I'm looking at the comments from the speaker a while ago. And she asked to decline the fee in lieu of parkland as land cannot be purchased in this area for the proposed $40,000 per acre. I'm not sure I understand her thinking on that, but explain exactly what this in lieu, you're paying for the acreage that the pond takes up? Is that?
The pond is not in the equation. Pretty much the town in communication with the applicant, it was considered to offer the $500,000 at that amount to account for the 12.5 acres so that the town can then improve the parkland, the public parkland within Reeves Farm with amenities.
I think and maybe I'm wrong and stuff. I think that like the fee in lieu is usually like $27,000 an acre or something less than that and stuff. And they're taking the pond, they're removing it from the denominator, but in essence paying $40,000 an acre, higher than an obligation of our current fee in lieu. Is that right?
Is this not based on the calculation that we just voted to recommend?
This would not be based on the new.
Yeah, clearly not, but on the old calculation, right?
It would be based.
Number came.
That's
Kind of. I mean, then yeah. Which.
Cool.
Right.
I guess part of my confusion is it says that 45.09 acres are required.
Mm-hmm.
The developer is providing more than that.
Yes.
So why do they need to pay anything in lieu?
Good evening. My name is Jody Lidoff. I'm at 481 Bennett Mountain Trails in Chapel Hill. I represent Reeves Farm, Pittsboro. The park recreation it's been a wonderful collaboration between the town and Reeves Farm, Pittsburgh. There was a couple of objectives to all this park. Was really a linear park along West Street, right? And then it was, the pond is so internal to everybody's life coming up and down Business 64, so preserving that kind of scenic corridor, if you will. That hence all the open spaces happening along West Street where citizens can engage and the multi-use path will be there for everybody to access all the parkland. We were initially entitled for 1,700 homes. The 45 acres represents 1,200 homes, right? So as we stand here today and we did our master plan, we laid out all the lots and we laid out the multifamily, we came to a number that was 1,200 units, 1,248, and that 1/33 of the acre gets you to the 45. In essence, what the fee in lieu of and the whole discussion with the surface water allows for additional density to meet the entitled density of 1,700 if the world changes over the next 5 years and there was a desire to add more density in the neighborhood mixed use center district. And also the other aspect of this is day one, when Reeves Farm gets under construction and the first lots are built, what happens in that park space around the pond, right?
You keep it.
And what is those mechanisms to begin developing park space, top lots, swings, planting, actually building a beautiful park there that when people visit the Ag Center and look across the road, they see a beautiful park. So it's not mine. So part of this was helping the town to develop.
Anybody else have anything else more for Mr. Colley? All right. Thank you. Thank you. With that, then I'll accept the motion.
Make a motion that we approve.
Motion by Alfreda Alston, to approve the recommend that the Board of Commissioners approve the subject major subdivision preliminary plat, including payment of fees in lieu of public recreation land dedication in the amount of $500,000 and provision of public recreation land dedication of 50.53 acres as illustrated on the preliminary plat to be paid and dedicated prior to final plat approval. Is that long enough? Yeah. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alan Wilson. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously.
Now, everybody came.
All right. Moving on. The South Village Small Area Plan, Miss Teresa Thompson, I'm sorry. Take a break. We can, yeah, we need to suggest a motion for, have a motion for recess?
Yes.
Say 5 minutes. Motion for a 5-minute recess by Connie McAdams. Do I have a second? Second by James Buster. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. Good. Believe we still have some members in the,
Shall I go?
Matt, if we could. Give you 3 extra minutes there. All right.
Meat and potatoes.
Now, may I have a motion to go back into session?
Make a motion, we go back into session.
Motion by Alfreda Alston, second.
Second.
Second by Christina Piard. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, back in session. On with the South Village Small Area Plan. Miss Teresa Thompson.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Good evening.
We're gonna start with the memo. I'm gonna give a little, go back to the small area plan when it was first submitted, kind of go through staff's conversations with Chatham Park at that time. Go through a couple of the attachments, mainly the staff analysis. And then we'll touch on chapter 1. That's what has the language regarding the section design plans. It seems like that's what most of the questions are about. So if that sounds good to the board, we can start with that. So going back to when the small area plan was submitted to staff, it was not clear that this was a conceptual plan. So this is something that staff recommended from the beginning. Yes, so if you're gonna submit a 5,000 acre small area plan, like I said, the last presentation with y'all and when I presented to the Board of Commissioners, staff does not feel like that's sufficient. The details are not sufficient to approve that as a small area plan as defined with the intent listed in the master plan and the small area plan agreement. So staff has been working with Chatham Park, the applicant, in what does that look like then? If you are going to submit a 5,000 acre small area plan, which per the language they can do in the small area plan agreement, it says they can submit one or more, which is pretty clearly written. Not saying that was the intent originally, but we have to go by what's written, and it clearly states they can submit one or more. So we can't say, we're not going to look at this because it's 16 of these sections, because they are allowed to submit 16 at a time. But going through it from the beginning, staff said to the applicant that this is not enough detail. It doesn't show the minor roads, for example. It doesn't show the clear layout in order for staff to make a recommendation to move forward on each individual section. So if we are looking at this being conceptual, what we would have to, at that point, require additional steps. And to answer the question on the section design plans being, is that allowed? Yes, it is. The small area plan language and then agreement can supersede anything that's already been approved. So the language that we submitted to y'all, that we presented to you at the last meeting, that has to be agreed upon by the planning board and board of commissioners, because it's not written out yet. So that's just staff's recommendation, is if we are going to approve a 5,000 acre small area plan, staff recommends it to be conceptual. And then we also recommend updating the language to require these additional steps and conditions, which I'll go through more in a few minutes. And also to clarify, when we're looking at this being conceptual, the town's looking at it from the perspective as you all look at like the land use plan. when you looked at the rezoning tonight, for example, and you compared that to the land use plan. Staff has, well, and the board has the option to either require that, what's in that, or you can deviate from it. You just have to have reasons why. So in terms of staff looking at a conceptual small area plan in the future, there is wiggle room there. Now, the applicant, they are tying themselves to what is in the small area plan. So when they say that this is where we're proposing a park to be, if everything works out and the town says, yes, that's where we want it to be, then that's where it's going to be. So that's the benefit to having a large layout of 5,000 acres planned out, at least to this scale, is we can start making decisions from a planning perspective 15, 20 plus years out. Because this is basically a land use plan. It can be updated. Chatham Park can come back to the town. And again, that's a legislative process and say, we would like to change X, Y, and Z. But they'd have to go through the same process that they're doing right now. Does that make sense?
But does the door swing the other way as far as anything that the town would want changed?
Correct.
Yeah.
But there needs to, and we'll go in that detail in the next few pages, but the way it's written is it would need to be based on evolving conditions, that staff recognizes as an issue that needs to be addressed in the future.
Is that related to like the elements? Or is that separate from the existing elements?
It's separate. The elements are already written. They can be updated. Those are more of the standards that we go by. So when we're reviewing plots and site plans, we're looking at how many parking spaces do they have to have, things like that. The small area plan, that's more of that guiding framework of the overall layout. So it's not the same.
Okay.
Is that it's just one of many documents that we'd have to look at when we're reviewing preliminary plats and section or site plans.
Okay.
We would look at if it's approved the way it's staff's recommending. First, before we can approve a preliminary plat or site plan, the section design plan has to be approved for that area. When we're reviewing that section design plan, we're looking for consistency with the 5,000 acre small area plan. So once we get that section design plan, that is going to show the detail that we need for staff to say that, yes, we recommend moving forward with this plan and that there's no outstanding issues that haven't been addressed by the time we take it to the board. That's what we use when we review the preliminary plat and site plan. We go by that section design plan. Okay, so second page of the memo. I included the process for small area plans, the timeline for review that we've basically the last 8-9 months, I think. Staff analysis, which we'll touch on in a second. And last is the public information meeting summary. I did not have time to create a table that compares all the changes between the submittals. I think the planning board asked for us to be able to do that. And so I still plan on doing that. I just haven't had time to finish that. Small area plan itself is submitted and the design guidelines, which are a requirement, they're basically the same as the North Village design guidelines, and they're not written in stone. That's not the way it was required for the master plan. And to clarify on the motion, as I explained to the Board of Commissioners, staff does not think that the planning board would be making a decision tonight. But our recommendation is when all of the conditions are addressed, we do recommend approving the small area plan given that it's a conceptual plan, along with, contingent on all the additional steps that's included in it. But again, not to say that we were thinking you were going to do that tonight. You just received the plan last week, so. Okay, so at the Board of Commissioners meeting, there were a few comments made that I can update you on. They did, there were a couple of board members that did recommend the planning board have a work session. So depending on, how much time we want to spend tonight, if there are things that you want to dig into more on the actual plan itself, that could be an option to do it at that time, more of like a roundtable discussion, where I could get all the materials and have them, ready to answer more detailed questions and have additional staff there as well. Additional comments included concern about moving forward with these section design plans being administrative approvals and not being legislative approvals. So the way it's written in the master plan is that Chatham Park would come back, 27 times for legislative decisions. And so what staff is proposing is this large, small area plan. This is a legislative decision. Coming back, it would be more administrative. So staff would work with the applicant months before the actual plan is submitted, work out the logistics. Staff can require modifications to the small area plan and additional requirements, like I said, based on specific issues that we see. We then take it to the planning board and the Board of Commissioners. Public facilities, anything regarding that, the board still have full discretion on. So there was some concern about that, though, giving away the, I guess, legislative type of approval. Another commissioner asked to have at least 3 small area plans approved versus just 1. There was also comments about updating the elements and what's that process look like. As I explained, as of now, we work with Chatham Park on issues that we find in the elements, over time. We'd sit down with them in a workshop, kind of come up with a solution and present that to the board. And that would be done at a minimum annually.
Has it been done annually or is it been done kind of as needed PRN at this point or?
The workshop has not been done. Okay. So that's something that we have talked to Chatham Park about doing, though. Okay. There is an ongoing list. So I think that has worked well, going through the talking about the issues. We would actually need to have a workshop and bring it to the town.
It's just kind of one-off little bits that you guys discuss here and there, or?
Sometimes, we meet bi-weekly, usually, so we're bringing up those kinds of issues that depending on what plat we're reviewing, something like that. But yeah, that's been the process. There's nothing that's written that requires an update to be made. And I think that's probably more of a legal question on what can be done at that point, because this is the language that was approved back in the master plan. And from a staff's perspective, when you have an issue and you talk to the applicants about it and you try to work out a solution and you bring it to the board, that could be a good way to, update the elements as well. But is there a way that we can absolutely require it? No. So just to
Require a meeting with?
require, if the town says we need you to update X, Y,
Yeah,
Z.
we can't, it has to be mutually agreed upon and stuff.
Correct.
But we can we require like a regular meeting? I thought that was like in the provisions. Like
That is.
regularly meet?
Yes.
Is that annually
Well,
or we're proposing or?
it needs to, the conversation of updating the elements should be happening with the Board of Commissioners and the planning board as well, at least once a year.
Okay. And has been happening or we're not sure?
I know Chatham Park gives annual updates. I don't know if they've specifically talked about updating a lot of the elements. I know a couple of updates I've made, but I don't know if it was through that process.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there a plan then to moving forward to make sure that that's happening every year?
Well, that's why we want it to be clearly written.
Yeah.
These additional steps.
Okay.
So that
As an additional.
staff, we want everything to be as clearly written as possible for future staff as well. You know, we want them to know, okay, this is exactly what's required. Because it can get confusing otherwise. You know, the language that was approved back in 2015 doesn't necessarily say like, this is how you go about doing this.
Yeah.
And so the language that staff proposes does do that. Okay, so there was also a comment about board input during section design plan reviews. So as it's written now, staff would start meeting with the applicant 3 to 6 months prior to the actual section design plan being submitted, and that would be for, you know, early on coordination. And it was mentioned at the Board of Commissioners meeting that, is that something that a board member could be included in as well? So, and the answer is yes. That's not how it's written though. Okay, so just make sure. Okay, those are all the main points I wanted to make to begin with. And moving on to the staff analysis. It's several pages. You can just go through. Yeah, the one after this one. Okay, so I'm not going to go through all the staff analysis, but I wanted to mention that we're still awaiting final comments and approvals for parks, transportation, and Tri-River. So we're not.
Sorry, I didn't stop your thought.
Just that what's presented to you tonight, we wanted to get this before you. We think that it's very close, you know, to being final. But we also, at this step, want to get feedback. We want to let you know we're still waiting final comments. I don't foresee them being anything that's going to drastically change the plan, just based on feedback that we've received.
So is this the 6, I think I remember from watching the thing, 60-day clock starts today, or in terms of having to make a decision on this? Does that start today since you're bringing it to us today?
Well, you do have the plan. So there is, you know, that 60-day requirement. I think that would be more of a legal question as well, but, you know, if the Board of Commissioners, if the Board of Commissioners were to not make a decision and ask the planning board to do more, you know, research and give more information, you know, I don't think that would be something that the applicant would try and say that couldn't happen.
Wait, so this is, are you saying the 60 days, this is a great question. The 60 days starts today if we don't ask for more time? Paul?
I don't know that we can ask for more time.
I'm just,
We can ask.
the time is relevant, but the question is more about if it's not final, why are we looking at it to make a decision on it if it's not the final product?
Staff wanted to start the conversation.
But does that also start the 60-day clock?
Yes.
Okay.
But in order to go through all of this, I mean, we have it, but there's a lot of information. And just to sit here tonight and listen, and everything that you're saying is very valid. I can't I actually can't see making a decision on it tonight without having like a
We,
workshop or something.
and we don't have to. We absolutely can table
Yeah,
this.
I would like to have a work session to work, sit and work on it, but
I agree.
How can you start the timer though? Are the clock, because it's presented in is this the final draft? Is it the final draft or didn't it have to be final?
So
The clock on,
there's updates can be made. So when you say final, I think it's final enough where in regards to needing the information to start having conversations, you have that. I don't foresee the plan changing. Like I said, once we receive final comments from the consultants, I don't foresee the plan changing drastically, or we would not have brought it to you. Chapter 1 includes the section design plan language, which we definitely wanted to get that to you so we can start having conversations. Because that's new language, and if changes need to be made, we can have that, conversation and get that direction from y'all.
And just to clarify one more question about the 60-day time limit. Is that for the Board of Commissioners to vote on it, or is that for us, the planning board?
So after 60 days, whether the planning board gives a recommendation or not, the Board of Commissioners can start considering the item.
Got it.
But like I was explaining before, I don't foresee that being an issue if it's beyond the 60 days. But I don't want to speak for, the board or anything like that. But
I mean,
that's the way it was written in 2015, so,
I don't see that in the approval process. Like, do we know what that language is? Like what starts I don't mean to harp on it and stuff, but I think that's a significant milestone to say, hey, and now you have 60 days to make all these comments and thoughts and stuff. Is there language that says,
Master use plan.
yeah, do you know what it is? Does anyone know?
One or two? The body, I don't know.
It's in,
60 days
it should be in that agreement that was on the screen. I think it was the third page. You want to go back?
Sorry,
It's far.
it's not in there. I didn't.
Yeah, it's,
Going,
I mean, I understand your confusion, but it would be,
one more, I think.
like Teresa said, I don't think it's something that we need to
But we could potentially
worry about.
And number 6, are you next? The planning board recommendation.
Within 60 days.
The planning, so this is the official referral to the planning board. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
This is the referral to the planning board.
The submission of the small area plan.
This is,
So this is the submission of the small area plan. There's no language that says the final, draft. But like I said, beyond the chapter 1, which, that's what we want to talk to you about tonight in more detail. I don't foresee there being any additional changes for it to be the final draft, other than a few minor things I mentioned in the staff analysis.
okay.
I have a definition question. Section design plan or the activity center design plan, are those two terms interchangeable based upon where that design plan is being located, or?
So when the applicant submits the section design plan, they can overlay. Correct.
Thank you.
They have the option.
It wasn't clear from the town board discussion to me, whether or not, I think you've covered it, but I apologize for asking, will each section design plan go back to the planning board with public comment? I understand that to be legislative. Are you stating that that's not part of the section design plan approval process, or it is because in here it looks like that is the process?
That is the process for the small area plan. Going to the section design plan being more of an administrative decision. The public comment requirement is not in the language currently. So if that's something that we can discuss that if that's something that the boards would like to see.
Okay, just thank you.
Teresa, has anybody done side-by-side matrix to show the difference between the content and procedure for a small area plan versus section design plan?
I can do that. But everything that's required in the small area plan, I included in the section design plan. So, what's required in it.
Mhm.
So the additional agreement language that requires like public comment and things like that, that's not included.
Okay, well, that's the sort of stuff I'd like to have highlighted.
Okay.
A bit of a difference. Is that appropriate then for things like that, for us to request? Like, is that a timely recommendation from the planning board to request that information before?
Sure.
Do that before it's a final recommendation?
Correct. I mean, the process
If no time.
process would change. So really, like, this would not be the process anymore moving forward. It would just be what's in the language, which basically states 3 to 6 months prior to the section design plan being submitted, the applicant shall start coordinating with the town of Pittsburgh staff. I mean, that's basically everything that's in here would not be applicable to section design plan.
No, but
Like the process.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I mean, I can list it out, but it's, the requirement to have the community input meeting in the very beginning, the public information meeting, all of those kinds of requirements. That would not, unless that's something that we would change, that's not how it's written for the process to review a section design plan.
I just think it would be a good communication device. Not only just for us, but also the general public to know, to see it side by side.
Okay, yeah, I can list out everything that's required in here and basically just say none of it's required. Okay.
that's, yeah.
If we decide to have a work session, how quickly do we need to have it?
Just between now and the next meeting, essentially.
Okay.
I just want to coordinate with staff and make sure.
Okay.
And it was mentioned by I think the Board of Commissioners to have work session for them as well. So I don't know if it was meant to be like a joint or.
Okay.
I might be jumping ahead and stuff, but is this the financial impact analysis that we received?
It's.
And that's one of the conditions, helps make this small area plan proposal complete, right? Like having this as part of it.
Yes, and staff has had that since December of 2024.
I just got it today at noon, but and I'm not a financial person and stuff, but it's sensibly absent of like the other side of the balance sheet, like the expenses. These are like revenue. There's no expenses on here. Like, how do we know a financial analysis about what the expenses are? Could be.
And from staff, from staff's perspective, we looked at that as more of an in-house review. Same thing like with the traffic modeling.
Okay.
We didn't put that on the website either. That was sent to a third-party consultant to review. So that's the reason why it wasn't put on the website, because it was being reviewed in-house. But, knowing that that's what the board would like to review, obviously we understand that. And I'll take these notes and we can go over that with, like the finance director for.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I just feel it would not be like a complete submission without it. Like, I don't think that a timer should start. We have all the information. We get 60 days. I don't know if we'll get that in 59 and a half days. I just don't know if the timer should start right now without being able to consider a lot of that information.
And I understand. It's everything that's required though, like all the modeling, for example. That's not something we included as part of what we put on the website. So I was explaining that we put that in the same category. we thought for the board to look at the small area plan,
Yeah.
Actual plan itself.
Yeah.
Was more for the board to review.
Yeah.
And that document was more for in-house review, more technical review. But I understand what you're saying. It wasn't like not submitted intentionally for,
Right, yeah.
to not get feedback. We just thought it was more of a technical type of document that
I think it's significant perspective to review, from a prudence, perspective instead of being, cavalier about.
Yeah. So we could, if you have a work session, we could, answer questions specific to that, because I'm not the one that reviewed that. That's more, like I said, technical, so I'm not sure, I would be the right person to answer questions.
Yeah, I'm just saying I consider it a significant component of the plan.
Okay. Gotcha.
In the absence of it, I don't think that the proposal is complete.
Either way, that baby's been born, right? Like it's already here, 60 days in terms of I know that you said it can be extended out for the board to vote on it, but that baby's been born in the sense it's already here in front of us.
I'm saying it probably shouldn't be because it's not complete. In my view.
Understood, but I'm clarifying that despite that, it's still here. Am I correct about?
That is the risk that the applicant would take by submitting something that's not complete. Is if we are looking at something incomplete, you would generally say, no, we don't want that to go. So that's kind of like, if they don't think it's going to be close to what they've got, then they're not going to submit it.
It's submitted? That's what we're asking.
Yeah, in terms of it being complete submittal, it was submitted for staff to review last December. And I explained the reason why it wasn't included on the website, along with several of the other more technical documents. But I'm pretty sure it's on the website now. So yes, it's on the website now. Again, we didn't put like the models and things like that. But if you want to say like that's what you need to say it's complete, it's on the website.
I'm saying it is not complete though. It is a part of a financial analysis, or what I would consider a financial analysis is the revenue. There's no expenses. There's no like, okay, cool, here's potential revenue, but like, what could it cost us?
Okay, I'm with you.
Is not there, right? This is half of the piece of information I would need for it to be considered.
Okay, so the way we would interpret that is it has been submitted. Does that mean it's adequate? I'm not sure. That's been reviewed in-house. The language in the master plan and small area plan agreement, it just says financial impact analysis. It doesn't say it has to include all these, bullet points. So we can have that conversation with the finance director on if they need more information for that. But I see what you're saying. You think.
Yeah, they could just say a receipt that says $1, and that would be a financial assessment. They could say that, therefore it's complete. We could start 60 days. Okay.
I mean, that's the way it's been written. I didn't write it. That's just the way it was written. So.
Just one point of clarification. On the back side of this, where it talks about the annual water and wastewater fees, none of that will be flowing to the town or the county. This would all be Tri-River, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Articulated here. It's listed as revenue, yeah.
Okay, so, I think moving on, to the first chapter, the small area plan. This is the language that has been inserted by the applicant that staff has drafted. And it's, like I explained before, this is the language that I foresee seeing the changes in the small area plan. But we wanted to go ahead and get it submitted to you. This is currently the official submitted language. And as I stated in the staff analysis, staff recommends changes to it. And I wanted to focus, it seemed like that's kind of like the big, I guess, area of concern right now with the small area plan is, you know, should we be approving a 5,000 acre small area plan, and then what are the next steps? So that's what I'm more addressing tonight, especially since you just received the actual small area plan last week. And then we could dig in more to that at the work session or next meeting. So I explained that the applicant can submit one or more sections. Staff recommends it to be conceptual, so there's language on what that means, the conceptual nature of the small area plan. As I explained the first presentation, that the purpose of the small area plan is to give more detail than the master plan, which it does. For example, like parks gives a lot more detail on that. Not as much detail that you would see on a preliminary plat or site plan. So because it's at the 5,000 acre scale, staff thinks that it should be conceptual. So there are, like I explained to this board and board of commissioners, there are benefits for that from a staff's perspective, from planning perspective. And that's, again, getting that holistic, comprehensive view of what the 5,000 acre layout would look like. Similar to like the town's land use plan. Currently, the town's about 4,000 acres in size. So, you know, we have a land use plan that shows what the future growth should look like within that 4,000 acres. That's similar to what Chatham Park has done. And so there are benefits to that. Again, there's pros and cons.
It's a dumb question. Can you approve a conceptual plan separate from the small area plan? Like, this is a conceptual plan that we have, but it's not an approved small area plan?
Sure. I mean, you could. Now for it to
Yeah, that's okay.
count as the small area plan, it wouldn't. You know, if you just were to take out, you know, just call it a conceptual plan.
For the benefit of having a conceptual plan.
Right. It wouldn't be like an official document though.
Right.
So I think in order to make this the official legislative step, it has to say small area plan.
Thank you.
Going on to the next page. We talked about the elements a little bit, an annual meeting to discuss that. I've already gone over the annual updates and look aheads at the last meeting. And moving on to the section design plan language. And we want this to be super clear. So any questions that we have about it, we've been taking notes. And we'll make sure that they get updated. Including like the second sentence under section design plans. We need there to be a sentence that says 3 to 6 months prior to the section design plan being submitted. Staff will start coordinating with the applicant. I also wanted to point out, going down to number 4, it seems like there's been questions about the town having, I guess, conversations with the applicant about density and uses and things like that. And is that something that can be required through a legislative small area plan process? And I wanted to explain that back in 2015, the way it was agreed was Chatham Park can build up to a maximum of 22,000 dwelling units and 22 million square feet of non-residential. So it's a maximum. In there.
Wait, did you say 22 million non-resident?
Square feet of non-residential.
Square feet. Also.
Acres.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in their land use summary table, it states that In the residential sections, they can have a maximum of 10% of non-residential uses. Nothing was ever agreed upon to state that, let's say in the research and development section, you have to have like a minimum amount of non-residential. So the way it was approved in 2015 is through the permitted use table, residential is allowed in every section in Chatham Park. So the way it was approved is it could be all residential. It really, I mean, research and development section can be 100% residential based on what was approved. And if I've interpreted that language, I'm sure someone will correct me, but that's how I read it. So we did put the stipulation for number 4 in there that Chatham Park agreed to. That in the research and development section, up to 50% can be residential. So back in 2015, there was no requirement, and staff is saying that, well, at least 50% of it has to be non-residential in these research and development sections. This was something that was mutually agreed upon with staff in Chatham Park. So I just want to explain that, you know, when you go through the legislative process, it has to be mutually agreed upon and.
Elemental change.
Sorry?
An elemental change, but not really. That.
Correct. Now, if staff were to say, you know, that we want there to be a minimum of, you know, 20 dwelling units an acre, that's probably not something Chatham Park would agree to. That's not mutually agreed upon. So in terms of going from a legislative to administrative standpoint, staff can require things that are logistical issues. So pros and cons to that. But I just wanted to make that comparison to like a legislative decision versus non-legislative. And it was questioned about transportation planning analysis, so those would be required with the section design plans. And if they don't have it for the first section design plan within one of the 16 sections, they have to have it for the first preliminary plat. So staff worked with the applicant on drafting that language. You can go to the next page. And I think, you know, for clarity, we'll have these numbered, but looking down at the 4th one from the bottom, as part of the review, town staff will assess each section design plan for consistency with the South Village Small Area Plan. Modifications from the Small Area Plan may be required to comply with updated town standards and regulations, or respond to changed circumstances, emerging community needs, or evolving conditions. There's been questions about, you know, if we go from legislative to administrative, what if there's an issue that comes up 10 years from now that no one's ever thought about? We try to mitigate that with this language, and it be more of logistical issues. So again, there's pros and cons to that, taking away the legislative type of approval, making it more administrative, but also stating that additional conditions can be required by staff. And that would, of course, go to the town board and planning board for each one of those.
In my brain, I'm just trying to think of legislative versus administrative.
Mhm.
Is this like administrative is like planning department handles these negotiations and legislative is like you bring it to us?
Not necessarily. So the Reeves Farm preliminary plat tonight was administrative.
Okay.
That's more of staff presenting to you that these are all the rules and that they meet.
Meets the requirements.
Preliminary plats also include public facilities. So there, you know, there's input from the boards on that for sure. But But on just like what standards are being met, staff's already done that. And so basically it is kind of like checking the boxes. If it's met, then it would be approved. So not saying that this sentence is what the final language will be, but just that we are trying to address potential issues that we can't think of exactly what they might be today. So yeah, just reviewing legislative versus administrative. I try to get into a little more detail on that. I can answer any additional questions you might have in that regard, moving forward, section design plan.
So are you aware of any other municipality that has used the section design plan concept in lieu of a small area plan?
No, and that's because none of this is something that is standard.
So this is all new ground for us.
Correct. Yes. So back in 2015, when the rezoning was approved, contingent on having the applicant come back for additional legislative small area plan approvals, that I've never heard of that before. That's new too, at least to me.
Yeah,
That's not standard.
Previous to that, their initial recommendation of 16 or whatever small area plans would have just been like that. At that point in time, it would have been approved like that.
Well, typically a conditional rezoning, when it's approved, that's it. Everything after that's administrative approvals.
You already, okay.
So I think the intent back then was, well, this is 7,000 acres, so we need more information. And that was how it was decided to get that.
It was.
But I mean, that itself is not standard. I've never seen that before.
So so the section design plan concept, that was put forward by staff?
Correct. And that was some lessons learned in the North Village is what that stemmed from. Because the North Village was approved conceptually as well. And staff wants to ensure that that early coordination happens. Not necessarily to make major changes to like density and uses like that, but more for logistical reasons. Like the road layouts, where are the parks going? Proposed schools, things like that. We want to be able to have that coordination early on, and not just get it when the applicant submits like a preliminary plat or site plan. Because at that point, it's more difficult to change things.
So when you say that, like, where are the schools going, where are these going, where are the, like, that's been proposed in the small area.
There's one school proposed, and that's because the schools, they only plan 5 years in advance for construction of schools. So there's a memorandum of understanding with the school system that additional schools could be required.
But we have maps with like where parks are gonna go and stuff.
Correct.
Right, and we're saying that that's not, even though it's in the small area plan, right, would it have to be that place? Like what are that?
Chatham Park's committing to that, but the town is not. So there was a lot of planning that went on in those park locations, months and months of conversations. But 5 years from now, if we're looking at that section design plan and includes that park, staff can require changes at that time for different reasons.
For the reasons specified in this graph.
It's pretty open-ended. And in addition, that's a public facility, so the town board has complete discretion anyways. I was hoping to try to answer some of the questions regarding the proposed language, get any additional feedback from the board, or if you just need more time to digest it, that's we understand that as well. It's not simple.
Yeah.
I need more time to digest. I don't know about anybody else, but I need more time to digest.
Yeah.
Teresa, is there a map of just the sections now, what those are? I couldn't. Page.
That would be, page 6. Oh, wait, excuse me. That doesn't show the. Well, it shows it, it's not as.
Phases, which is that, those colors, are they kind of all broken up into 16?
Yeah, I think
Two?
the map that I saw last, it was a little clearer. I think the one on page 8, it shows the section numbers.
Okay.
But there is another map that I thought, yeah, the one on page 15. The activity centers on page 15 are clearly, you can see the boundaries for that, but yeah, I agree, like the section 2.1 versus 2.2.
Those are regionally different sections.
Those are like the 16 sections.
Yeah.
The original 16 sections. So we can ask the applicant to make those lines a little clearer on this map.
If we just add up all the 4.3, it'd be one section. So we know 4.2 is one section.
Correct.
0.1 is one section, 2.2 is a different section. Is that the way?
Yes, sir.
Some of them you can't tell where the lines are in between.
There's no lines. There wasn't anything past.
Yeah.
On the 27, there was no line. Right.
Depending on how much
It does.
time you'd like to review
Could you add them up?
the small area plan that was submitted in your packets. Like I said, if you do want a work session, it's just as quickly as we can coordinate it.
That's not right.
Set that tonight. So then with that, I recommend a motion to table this item to the October 20th. 6 p.m.
I'll make
meeting.
that we do that.
Thank you. Alfreda Alston, motion to table the South Village Small Area Plan item to October 20th at 6 p.m. Do I have a second? Second by Alan Wilson. All in favor, say
I
aye.
had one discussion point before you vote. Is that
Absolutely.
So one discussion point before you vote. Again, I just want to go on the record and stuff and say like, it's still, to me, incomplete and as it's submission and stuff, but I don't know what the rules are in terms of 60-day. I just think that should be clear that there's not everything that we need to have it as a submission.
It all should be on the website now.
Yeah, well, I mean, just it being on the website or it being here doesn't necessarily mean it's complete in my mind. I just want to say that.
Understood.
Okay. All in favor of the motion to table the item to October 20th, 6 p.m. Please say aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. So we will table it to October 20th at 6 p.m., which is our next regularly scheduled meeting. While we're all here, we will, with Carrie, we will schedule a work session. Since we're all here, let's just nail a date now.
Sure.
Okay.
Need staff to come too, right? For that?
What are the limitations for staff?
Open to the public and staff have to be here or.
So we're just trying to get a date for the work session now, since we're all here. Are there limitations for staff that would need to be there? Like any dates that would be off?
Maybe 2.
Great idea.
Yeah, if there are staff there, and we'll have to set like facilities.
Okay.
Why don't y'all send us a couple of dates and then let us email you back with what works best and whichever one fits with everybody's.
We say 6 p.m. though, on a weekday?
We could say, we can narrow it down to a Monday.
It's easier for staff
It's easy.
During the workday, especially, but if you got a workday, I would need it for you.
Okay,
During the workday, I'm working.
Your guys' schedule.
okay.
Yeah.
Week 7, do you guys want to read?
Two.
I would say, yeah. If we can, so I was just looking like maybe the 29th, which is a Monday.
Yeah.
That would work for me as well, yeah. We'll say the 6th and the 29th.
I'm the 29th, I can't do this. Sweet.
Anybody else have any objections?
I can do 29th. Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, that is a definite maybe.
And this has to be available, the public can come to this? Right, yeah, how much time we have to give?
I think it's, would you say 48 hours? Okay.
Okay, so we got it. Okay, great.
Okay. Then. Thank you, everyone. Mr. Cahoon Tingle, do you have any updates? All right, great. All I have is thank all you guys for the time and staff, the insane amount of time
Yeah.
that is poured over all of these items. I greatly appreciate it. Also, staff at for the Ag Center for staying with us. Like, I know we're not pushing it like the town board does, but thank you either way. So, yes, sorry, Connie, do you have anything?
Just wanted to say, I really appreciated the offer from the Southern Environmental Law Center.
Absolutely.
And I think we should consider, taking.
Is that something, let's invite her to the work session.
She's here. We can ask her if the.
Oh, she's still here. Yes. Yes. We can, yeah, absolutely. Let's, coordinate. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to say?
I just had one. No, okay. Just kidding.
Thank you.
Just joking.
All right, sorry, let's can I have a motion to,
Motion to adjourn.
motion by Christina, second
Second.
by Frida Alston, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.